Welcome to the PrizePicks Prop Show. My name is Walt, Waddell. Some of you may know me as Dubdusa85 or that niche sports guy. I cover college sports on a little program I like to call the Super Show, and I'm filling in this week for Michael Govier and Stuart Durst. They have some other stuff going on, so you've got my face on your computer screen or tablet for a fourth time this week. I do have 3 PrizePicks plays that I'm going to highlight here on this show. I feel really strongly about them. I'm going to give you specific reasons, as I typically do when I talk about PrizePicks. But first, I do want to mention new signups to PrizePicks. Now, use promo code FTN. Will get a deposit bonus match up to $100 instantly. If you haven't played on PrizePicks before, you're certainly missing out. Great app. It offers plenty of money-making opportunities. And unlike DFS, you're not having to play the rest of the field. You only have to beat a number, simply over or under. Speaking of overs, I do have 3 of them. Unders are no fun, right? So I'm going to slap 3 of these overs. Diving in, my first one is Quinnen Judkins over 16.5 fantasy points. On the Super Show, Jake and I, just gushing about this kid. Zach Evans, who transferred over from TCU to Ole Miss with the hopes of landing a bell cow role and getting out of that TCU 3-man committee, has already kind of regretted his decision potentially. Draft stock, is still really high on this kid, but this 3-star freshman has really kind of come out of nowhere, putting Evans into yet another committee situation, which has to be very frustrating for him. But it's good for us. Judkins actually has a 51% carry share at this point for Ole Miss, and Evans is down to 38%. So Judkins is now technically getting more carries than Zach Evans, surprisingly. He's been extremely efficient, 535 yards on 85 carries. That's a YPC of roughly 6.3. He's also scored at least 1 touchdown in 4 of 5 games this year with a total of 6 on the season. This 16.5 fantasy points is extremely low considering going up against Vanderbilt, who is yielding almost 160 yards per game on the ground. He's going to probably score a touchdown or 2 because that's what he does. And I think 20 is his floor this week. So that 16.5 number is quite low. His carries each game have been 15, 27, 19, 10, and 14. I certainly expect that number to go even higher. Zach Evans has, for whatever reason, been toiling down between 8 and 12 in a game against Vandy where it will probably turn into a blowout. I expect Judkins to get a lot of work. Ulysses Bentley, their RB3, has been injured, didn't even play last week. He's kind of become irrelevant, and the 3-star kid is just taking this role and running with it. They have to keep getting in the ball. Over 16.5 fantasy points. Run that with confidence. Next play is from Texas, Xavier Worthy, over 69.5 receiving yards. This is the Red River Showdown, rivalry game between these two teams with real hatred towards one another. The only difference this year is neither team is ranked, which is the first time in a very long time, and the Sooners' defense has just been absolutely terrible. They gave up over 430 yards of total offense per game, and they just got torched by 2 quarterbacks who aren't necessarily considered prolific passers, but very good on the ground in Max Hacksaw Dugan and Adrian Martinez. In fact, last week against TCU, they just gave up 668 yards of total offense, which is never a good thing. TCU had 4 touchdowns of 63-plus yards alone, 2 of those rushes, 2 of those passes. And this is great news for somebody like Xavier Worthy, who can be considered a deep threat. And I think he could potentially eclipse this 69.5 receiving prop in one play with a 70-yard bomb. That is a real possibility. So far this season, Worthy is averaging 15.8 yards per reception. Last season's game against the Sooners, to further drive the point home, he caught 9 of 10 targets for 261 yards and 2 touchdowns. This is a game where Quinn Ewers, the stud freshman, is back after suffering a collarbone injury. So having their main, QB back is certainly going to help Worthy as well. And I think this is a game that the Sooners are just going to be incapable of trying to defend him. Even if they try to play it in front and keep, him from going long, he's going to be able to rack up a lot of receptions underneath and should be able to average at minimum 7 to 8 yards per catch, which will obviously put him very close to making it if he only catches, 5 to 8. But I'm very confident that he's going to break a long one. So Xavier Worthy over 69.5 receiving yards. There are multiple in this game that I like, but you can check those out in the article later. And lastly, I have DeCorian Clark from the UTSA Roadrunners over 89.5 receiving yards. This UTSA offense is really strong. It arguably have had one of the best wide receiver rooms in the country. I did write recently on Twitter. It's no longer an arguable thing. They are the best receiver room in the country. 3 elite pass catchers for Frank Harris to throw to. All 3, Zachary Franklin, Josh Cephas, and DeCorian Clark, have 35-plus targets, 480-plus yards, and 2-plus touchdowns through their first 5 games. Consistent. Typically, I like Franklin and Cephas equally along with Clark, but this is a case of me just taking the lowest receiving yardage number between the 3. The other 2 are up over 90, 92, 93, something like that. Clark's 89.5 is just the advantageous number that I want to try to take advantage of. Clark has 139 plus receiving yards in back-to-back games, 92 plus yards in 3 of 5. He's been targeted 10 plus times in all but 1 game so far this season. Defense is really throwing their best corners at Franklin because he technically is their best guy, and Cephas. So this is more often than not allows Clark to go against the weakest, of their secondary members, which he just torches time and time again. He is a bona fide WR1 on a lot of other teams. Having to be the quote-unquote WR3 in name only, not by targets, is something that, Clark gets away with for yardage, catches, touchdowns, all that good stuff. He has 6 on the year. This is a really great matchup. They're playing Western Kentucky. Zach Kitley's no longer the coach of Western Kentucky, but they're still trying to run that pass-heavy offense, and they have been scoring lots of points. The total coming into this game is 73.5, so obviously Vegas feels there will be lots of scoring. And I would not be surprised to see Clark break a couple of big plays early on, making this a relatively sweat-free prop. This is going to be a Madden game stuck on easy. Both teams probably scoring 50-plus points. Clark will be in the mix, and don't worry about Franklin and Cephas also getting, catches, because they're all probably going to go over 100 yards, which they have all 3 done together several times dating back to last year. I think DeCorian Clark over 89.5 receiving yards is a gimme, and I am going to be all over those 3. Throw them together in a power play or a flex play and win lots of money with me. Those are the 3 plays. I'm Walt Waddell. That's the PrizePicks Prop Show. Thanks very much, guys, and good luck this weekend.